Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. We just had an incredible game between XL and Phelan where Phelan really put it to XL, pushed them to their limit. XL were able to bite back in the end, but man, that was a slugfest for him.
That seems to be the theme of the games this week, where it's teams who have been struggling so far throughout the tournament, coming out swinging against teams that we have seen have a lot of success. It happened yesterday with Envision, this time Phelan as well, taking it to XL in the very early stages of the game.
And keep in mind, they were struggling versus Barrage yesterday, who were another 0-point team. So I feel like if you're Phelan, even though you lost, you can walk away with your head held high because, like, you just challenged one of our top two teams. You know, it's hard to say who's the best team at the moment, technically, off numbers, XLR. But it's really hard to say, cool, who is the best team between XL and Fnatic. And Phelan just literally went punch to punch with XL and held up for a pretty long time in the ring. But that was that game. Now we're going to move on to this one, which is going to be Diabolus versus Mnm. I'm very excited to get going with this one because this is a rematch of week two. Sorry, last week. Literally last week's semifinals. Diabolus lost this to Mnm. And Mnm, obviously, they've been struggling to kind of make it beyond that third spot. They currently seem to be pretty solidly locked as the third best team. Getting a win here and then putting yourself up versus XL, who, you know, it's fair to say, maybe looking a little bit weaker. You might be able to get yourself a win.
Yeah, but I mean, Diabolus as well in the first week did get through the semifinals to challenge in the finals, but unfortunately lost it there. So both of these teams have had a third place finish in week 1 and 2 respectively. So this is what we would consider to be the battle for third place, as obviously we have Fnatic and XL, who are on paper the top two teams in terms of numbers. And I mean, XL did look a little bit shaky, especially in the early stages in that previous game. Both of these teams yesterday definitely looked a little bit shaky in the early game as well.
Well, let's take a little look at our rosters for our first two teams. We'll be starting up with Diabolus, I believe, on the red side. Not going to start up with that yet, apparently. But we'll talk about them in a minute. Let's have a little look at actually Diabolus as a team and how they've been performing, because like we said at the beginning of the show, we kind of expected them to be a team who would, you know, kind of just be always trailing around that relegation area. But actually, no. They're putting a fight up for third or fourth currently within the league. And it's so unexpected. I mean, they've got actually a very strong roster put together so far. You know, I'm pretty excited to see how they're going to go, because we're only on week 3, so there's a lot more time to go, a lot more time for development as well. I mean, same pretty much can be said for Mnm, and now we're finally ready to get those rosters up. So let's have a little look at our starting roster for Diabolus on that blue side. In the top lane, it's going to be Kakan, Peerfight in the jungle, Fury in the mid, Dragdart ADC, and Heathen as the support.
And up against them for the second time in 2 weeks straight is Mnm, with Only Angel in top lane, Naughty jungle, Chibs in mid, Yusa AD carry, and Shogun on the support.
And I think, again, for Mnm, especially if you look at Yusa, this is a chance to once again prove to your old team that you are now the stronger player. You're on the better team. You know, thanks for everything I've learned from you coming out of last split, but I am going to try and make it with this Mnm roster. You know, Mnm still, like, out of kind of like our top teams, are the only UK team out of like our top 4 teams who have never made it to the European Masters. Enclave have made it, Fnatic have made it, XL have made it, Diabolus have made it. There's, you know, they've got to really, really kind of put up a lot here. They need to make it because they're the only team that haven't.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an experience for them to get to that point, as well. As you say, it's going to be tough competition. We already know that the top 1 and 2 teams are very, very difficult to head up against. And the Diabolus as well are no slouches. Even though their roster on paper, in comparison to what they had last split, was considered to be quite a lot of a downgrade, they've definitely been performing very, very well. As have Mnm in week 2. Week 1, they had some more sort of ups and downs as well. They did make it
really rough to say, because they won their game, and then in the semi-finals they had XL, who were on fire that week, and XL were able to beat out Fnatic that week. So I think it's actually a little rough to say, purely because of the fact that they pulled XL. But then last week, Diabolus had to play versus Fnatic, I believe. So, yeah, they played versus Mnm. What am I talking about? Yeah, so head-to-head, Mnm have this from last time, but let's have a little look at our matchup to watch, which is going to be in the mid lane. It's going to be Fury versus Chibs. I just like, Fury is such a really fun player to watch, and so is Chibs. Chibs, you know, famous for his Aurelia last split, the rookie of the split as well. Fury kind of returning to the UK scene after being away for a little bit, but this guy came with a bang, picks like the Yasuo. I think we got 2 very flashy and aggressive mid laners, and I think it's going to make for a brilliant matchup.
Yeah, we certainly do. Fury yesterday had some highlight clips on his Aatrox game. absolutely carrying through some of the team fights, just dishing out huge amounts of damage. And it's no different really for Chibs in the mid lane as well. They have quite similar champion rosters overall as well. They can both play those AD brawler styles as well, have those added into their repertoire. So there could be some contested picks as well. And another contested pick that I'm expecting to see is towards the top lane. As last time these two teams faced off against each other, Mnm drafted themselves the Kennen in the top, and Kakan has had so much success on the Kennen. It's where a lot of Diabolus' wins have come from, is just him with the teleport flanks and the slicing maelstrom.
And I think that Mnm also picking up the likes of Only Angel for this roster, you know, returning former winner of the UKC. And this guy holds the title with Mnm as well. The last time Mnm got their title, this guy was on that roster. His return to competitive, he's looking very, very good so far. As we already see the Yasuo get taken away, the Sylas gets taken away. Don't want to give that over to Nolte. Even though he did a rough early, he had a great late game on that. And that's the Aurelia ban. Not going to see Only Angel or Chibs get their hands on that game.
I'm interested to see whether Olaf will come through in the bans as well, because both these junglers put priority on that pick. Whether or not it will be considered strong enough to take away as a ban, or whether it'll just be a first round draft, or whether we'll see something a little more out of the ordinary like the Hecarim in the previous game. Someone could have something prepared for us.
All right, well, we'll see Diabolus now having a little bit of think about what they want to take away. They're very fast with their first two bans. You decide to deny the Akali. Makes sense. Chibs had a pretty good split in Season 1 coming off the back of that, and now Mnm. One more pick, one more ban, sorry, to take away. So far, there's been a lot of mid laners. This is, well, technically 5, because Sylas can go mid. So
well, this is it's a featured matchup for a reason, and a lot of the champions you see in the bans column are those that can make those aggressive, flashy plays in the team fights and can turn things around on their heads. And Nico as well can go in the mid lane. So there is some flexible picks. We're going to admit that Sylas is more likely towards the jungle, but I mean, overall, all of the bans so far focus directly towards the middle.
I mean, technically, Azir is like the only actual mid laner.
Like guaranteed mid lane,
but what's really fun about this is our matchup to watch has had so many big bans taken away that they have to kind of think out the box a little bit. Now, we are seeing the Karma getting picked up. I suspect that's maybe for Kakan, but Fury probably could play at mid as well. I'm kind of hoping our matchup to watch isn't something into Karma, because that's really dull. I'm hoping something a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more flashy. Mnm, what do they decide to pick up? What has been left open for them is the question for me.
And the Karma even as well could go towards the Heathen in the bottom lane. He's played Karma support, and the Kennen is still open and available. And as we said, Kakan has had a lot of success on that. So there is flexibility so far in the draft on the first round of picks from Diabolus.
Yeah, as we see Mnm pick up that Olaf, like you said, it was a contested pick. And we had a little talk about Shogun and his champ pool. So far, only played Lux, and then one game on Yuumi. But he's going back to Lux team because Yuumi's not enabled. So he's not going to be able to play that. So Shogun's sticking to what he knows. And the question is then what's Yusa going to be picking up? Because we've seen him opt in towards things like the Kai'Sa a little bit more often. So maybe he decides to opt in for that. PFI picks himself something that can early gank, can also provide a bit of kind of later game engage as well with that big Cataclysm. So nice pick up there for them so far.
And it's something that can be irritating to play into as the Olaf, as your kind of play style is just to run people down, and that Cataclysm can completely shut out that style of play.
All right, well, that's actually the Aatrox picked up by Fiore, so I assume it actually will be Fiore's. He had a good game versus...
really good yesterday.
Who did he play yesterday?
Against
Demise. Thank you. It was literally our matchup to watch.
The Hell Classico.
Oh, that's a Chips pick I forgot about. That is a Chips pick I forgot about. No, we're not meant to talk about hovers, but this dude is really good at LeBlanc.
It's a flashy pick. It's an aggressive play style. It's got Chibs written all over it, and it will be up most likely up against the Aatrox.
He's gonna take the Karma now. Like, I felt like, I mean, how does this work? I assume you do go Karma here because I feel Aatrox is just gonna get bullied to hell.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing with LeBlanc into the Aatrox matchup specifically is it's similar to, you know, Blitzcrank into Draven, where you have that little marker on the floor that they're probably going to be standing here, so aim all your things there.
Yeah.
And Aatrox does have a lot of damage if he aims his abilities in the right place, so there is potential that if that were to be the mid lane matchup we're going to see, that things can go in the way of Fury, but it's going to be difficult to get to the stage where you're in a position to do those kind of plays.
Well, we see the Ezreal get taken away. Dragdar's been pretty much exclusively playing the Ezreal apart from one game on Sivir. It's actually Dragdar but banned that as well there. This does mean Yusa could try and deny the Sivir if he wants, but the Kai'Sa has been left open for the moment. The big one I also want to look at is that ban on the Kennen. They're not giving that over to the likes of Kakan. But maybe they just don't want to risk it. Because Camille gets taken away as the last ban here. Don't want to give Only Angel something that can make those plays in the top lane. And now Mnm are going to pick most likely up their ADC here. What do they decide to go for?
That will leave them the top laner, so they will have to see exactly what Diabolus is planning with the draft, because we do have still a lot of flexibility. Could even be a Jarvan top lane. It's not completely unheard of, so that could throw a complete spanner in the works, but I expect it to be a little more standard. And Xayah Rakan, what a great lock-in for the second draft.
That's a really powerful bot lane they've locked in. They're playing into the Lux and the Kai'Sa, so there is a little bit to kind of stop if he even jumps forward, just takes a binding to the face. It will slow him down. Well, it will stop him dead in his tracks. And obviously you have the E as well, which will also slow him down for the moment. And now Mnm looking around now. That's a flash from the past. Only Angel back on Jace, man. Oh, boy.
So
I'm so excited for this matchup,
so
man.
either way, we're going to have a matchup that should be really exciting to watch, but it's against a Karma.
Yeah.
He's going to be in the top or the mid lane, but I'm excited to see this Aatrox against LeBlanc, because this is our featured matchup for a reason. It's both of them have such a comfortable champion for them, and it's such a champion on both sides that can make these aggressive, flashy style plays that can completely take over games if they're able to do so. And we've got two junglers that can enable that style of play as well.
All right, so I want to talk a little about win conditions. What are Mnm and what are Diabolus needing to do in these early stages, and how do they play it out? How do they look to get the win here? Because Mnm on paper, I think, are the stronger team, but I think Diabolus have been kind of breaking the paper and like the playbook so far and just completely shattering expectations. So what are we expecting coming into this game?
Traditionally, so far, Diabolus have played not so perfectly in the early stages of the game. It's not been terrible by any means, but there's definitely been things that have been exploited from their early game plays, and then they've come back and made huge impact team fights, particularly around objectives, again, around contested towers in the mid lane, things like that. So that is definitely where they're going to be looking to lock in their sort of win conditions with this draft of the Xayah Rakan, the extra safety in the Karma as well. So team fighting, 5 versus 5s is where they're going to be looking, but that's going to be difficult to find against a team that has a LeBlanc and a Jace. We're both likely going to be split pushing in the side lanes, 1-3-1 compositions, potentially here for Mnm, and they do tend to thrive in that more chaotic style of gameplay where they're forcing small skirmishes and jungle entrances, and they've definitely got a composition to do so and to get across the map quickly as well, with Olaf as well running people down, Kai'Sa dashing from long distances. Any small skirmishes can completely turn into 4 versus 1s on a complete knife search.
I feel like what we're going to see is Diabolus group up in this demonic death bowl and just run down the lane and just pick off people. I mean, look, I want to get into the game, dude. Like, I just really want to get into the game. This is the one I was really hyped about, because last week it was a good matchup, and this week I think Diabolus are looking even better than they were previously, and I think Mnm are maybe looking a little bit weaker than they were in some of the other weeks we've had so far. So all to play for here in game 2. Now, Saga, you're a little bit newer here. And by newer, I mean this is literally your second ever game. Tell me about yourself. Give me a random fact for the viewers at home who might not know about you.
Random fact. Okay. I have a lot of pets.
Okay.
Up until a few days ago, I owned 2 hamsters. Fortunately, one of them passed away a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I could assume.
We have 3 cats now. We moved house. First thing we did, first week, filled it with cats.
Is the hamster gone because you have so many cats?
No, that was a separate issue.
Okay, cool.
We lock them in the basement so the cats aren't allowed in there.
Oh,
They go down anyway. They're really badly behaved.
Well, cats kind of just do their own thing, man.
Yeah, especially like
I'm
Yumi.
I'm an animal madhouse as well, man.
Yumi does her own thing. Hugh's invisible. That's why she's taken away. Can't trust cats. You really can't.
Not when they got a big dude in armor with them. You don't have that at your house, do you? Big suit of armor.
I could put armor on. I'm not sure how fast I could spin, though.
You know, I don't think Garen
Put me on
was
an
able to
office chair.
spin instantly. I think he learnt and perfected the art of being a Beyblade.
Building up the momentum. What we want to see. Not a huge start of a momentum in this game, though, as everyone will
we
just
are
be on
2
their own
minutes in.
sides. I mean, yeah, but we've definitely seen plays yesterday. 2 minutes in, we've seen a couple of games where the scoreline was looking like 0-2 or 0-4 even in one aspect. So a little bit more slow up, teams playing more respectfully of one another, wanting to not risk everything on a huge early play, which is understandable when you get to the semi-final, and it's such a hotly contested matchup.
So I asked Orcs, but I need to ask you as well. Do you have any weird stuff in your kitchen?
My girlfriend count?
I mean, like, utensils, right? So I was talking about the apple slicer.
We have an egg slicer.
An egg slicer?
Yeah.
Okay, this is what I'm more interested in. What? What's an egg slicer? How does that work?
Okay, it's kind of just like a little sort of bowl thing. And then it's like a metal grate with sort of cheese wire in lines. So you hard boil an egg, you put it in the bowl, and then you just pull the circle of wires down over, and it gives you perfectly sliced hard boiled eggs. Just toss them on a salad. Good to go.
See, that's the kind of useless stuff I need. Not need, but like I wanted to know. Orc doesn't tell me that. For you guys at home, actually, if you have any weird utensils in your kitchen, make sure you tweet us with that hashtag UKLC. Our man Lee needs to eat, so make sure you do tweet him so you can bring something up.
Yeah, tell him what he should eat as well.
I really want to know.
Like, he needs for it.
It's a really weird topic, but like it's interesting because people do have like really weird and strange things in their kitchen. These junglers are narrowly avoiding each other.
Really close, but it's Nolty again with the early game. Aggressive invades by himself. He doesn't really have the push, the priority in the side lane to go for it. PFI. He's
going for the fight though. Nolty actually might come out for the better. Is it unable to pick up his axes? Chasing onto PFI. Kakarn's chasing in. PFI's low, trying to get over the flag and drag, but Nolty not going to commit for the fight in a shock blast. Actually not going to be used. That was the empowered mantra. I just saw a large ball heading towards people and just assumed.
But still, it's going a lot better for Nolty on these aggressive solo invades than it was yesterday, as Envision were collapsing very quickly as they did have the priority in the side lanes. It's not quite the same story. Both lanes were relatively evenly matched, both sitting around the middle of the lane, so solo laners all showed up at around the same time, but it wasn't quick enough to either secure the kill for Mnm or to give the backup to PFI that he needed without him having to get out of his own jungle. Didn't have to burn the flash, which is pretty important, as he still does have that combo available of the EQ flash if he wants to extend the range on a potential aggressive play. But now he has to make his way to the bottom side of the map, and Nolty's already there with Shogun, clearing out that the Scuttle Crab, just making sure there's very little for PFI to do on this bottom side of the map.
Shogun's going to be able to clear out that ward nice and easy. Chibs looks to push up this mid lane for the moment. The CS numbers actually across the board are fairly equal. It's been definitely a more controlled start here, as Chibs actually will take a big combo from Fury. Actually gets the full chains off, doesn't quite connect that last Q, and Chibs now will walk away for the better as Mnm, with the pushing power they've had in the bot lane, will translate this into an early Ocean Drake. It's going to be nice for the laning phase with all that mana and health regen they're going to get. Yeah,
so it's the Olaf special. He doesn't need the backup to take it early on, but if he can get it, he will certainly take it. And it's the Ocean Drake as well, which is realistically one of the best Drakes you can get in the early stages of the game, as particularly towards the top lane, Jace is going to be burning through his mana, trying to force Kakarn on the Karma out of the lane, and getting that extra little bit of regen just keeps him in lane that little bit longer. He has a lot of sustain as well through his items and through the rune choices with the biscuits.
Going in, he even gets the knockup. That's the feathers. The flash comes out by Yusa, making sure he doesn't get caught. Good play, good reactive play by Yusa, but good heads-up play by Diabolus to know that Shogun was away for a little bit longer, and it was time to pull the punch, really.
Yeah, I do like the mirroring that we saw from the previous game, where the Lux support is roaming, and then it's an attempt and an aggressive play from the opposing bottom lane. This time it's not quite the snappy engage of Alistar, so they can't quite fully capitalize on it by taking the kills, but burning the defensive utility from Yusa. He will hit level 6 relatively soon, so he has the ultimate available, which is potentially a backup for Flash if you have to use it defensively, but it will be a really huge summoner spell cooldown to take away, particularly if you're looking towards the Jarvan hitting level 6 quite soon, maybe looking for a play in the bottom lane. It's going to be more difficult to get away if you're using now.
Right, Angel does take the tether here. The Airy on the Karma, not the Kleptomancy. I guess it makes sense, though. You are into a ranged champion, so you're not going to be just popping and farming with the Klepto. As this game's definitely been slower paced. We saw a little bit of an attempt by the bot lane onto Yusa. Did just burn his flash, but he was able to walk out, make it out nice and safe. And now he's got Shogun with him. He should be feeling a little bit more comfortable. Doesn't want to step up too much, though. Even closing in on that quickness with the flash quickness can be dangerous. You can get caught out. So he doesn't want to have that opportunity get caught out on him.
Yeah, and I say that Yusa's going to be hitting level 6 and getting the defensive, potentially ultimate available. It's them who's being pushed in, so potential really for Diabolus to hit level 6 first. So look at how far back they're playing defensive. Level 4 even on the Lux as well. So far behind in experience thanks to the roaming play that she made.
User is trying to catch up onto this wave as quick as possible. At level 6 still not being hit here. And Mnm playing pretty scared from this bot lane. User steps back because he wants to try and catch up some of this wave, but a plate will get picked up in favor of Diabolus. The root not going to find its mark.
Both junglers cheating down towards the bottom side as well. PFI is here first, knows that he's in a bush that has no vision on it for Mnm, but bottom lane seems to sniff this out. They're going to back away, make sure that Naughty is within range before they could potentially be caught out.
Naughty's actually heading up towards this top side as the Heathen gets caught on a ward. They are able to clear out that ward that was placed down by the Heathen, and PFI playing with a lot of respect, playing with a lot of time in mind, but could cause him for a gank, because actually I do believe he went in with that flag and drag onto Shogun, chunking him fairly low. We did just have a little look towards the top lane. Nothing happens in the bot lane, but the attempt did go through.
Didn't force any defensive utility, though, out of Shogun, other than potentially just a shield and a light binding. And that Aftershock, if that lands, it's kind of just throw it in a straight line at where Jarvan comes from. It's kind of hard to miss, but just getting those extra resistances is one of the main reasons why this looks is such a huge priority pick as well, because she has a lot of poke damage. She has a lot of defensive capability with the shielding, particularly when you start building up into your Athenes and your Ardent Sensors. But on top of that, she's deceptively difficult to kill. And with that Ocean Drake, that damage that she was taking from PFI, doesn't really matter, as she's pretty much full health once again.
Oh, Naughty's going in, double distortion. That's going to be the chains connecting. The flash forward comes down by one. Trying to find the damage onto Fury. The Ignite is ticking. That axe doesn't find its mark, and Fury is able to get out alive. If that axe had hit, that might have been first blood.
Skin of his teeth, does manage to make it out. PFI was there for the backup, but if there was a flash potentially from Chibs, I don't think it would have actually mattered, but they didn't fully commit to the play. Chibs had already started to back away by the point that Fury had flashed over the wall, so didn't go all in for the first blood, but definitely going to be good enough to force them out of lane and force Fury to burn both his flash, his ultimate, as well as the teleport to get back into lane. So he doesn't really lose too much, but he does lose the capability to make map-wide plays, and LeBlanc is notoriously a very good roaming champion who can make those plays. So Fury maybe a little bit slow off the mark if Chibs does shove in this wave and start making a push towards the bot or the top side lane.
PFI trying to pick up this crab. This game definitely been slower pace here. You know these teams that are waiting for their moment as only Angel gets a trade off onto Kakan, the Electrocute gets procced, and the full AP Karma, this is what we saw yesterday. It's weak in the sense that it's squishy. There's a lot of damage, but it's very, very squishy.
But I have to say, this game being slower paced does definitely benefit Diabolus, as both of the teams that we saw yesterday had sketchy early games and then turned it around towards the later stages. But Diabolus just looked much cleaner in the team fights overall, as Mnm finished off the game relatively close in terms of the actual kills that they had up against Envision, whereas Diabolus, when it came to the team fight phase, they looked fairly dominant in that regard. So stacking up as much gold as you can early on onto your Xayah, who will be kind of your primary damage source, as well as Fury losing kind of the minimum with teleporting back into the mid lane and staying even in terms of farm with Chibs, is definitely beneficial for Diabolus. And even Chibs looking to maybe roam up, just place some vision down. There is 3 members of Diabolus on the top side around the Rift Herald, potentially going to be their next area of interest if you want to try and lock down that neutral objective and convert it into some tower gold.
Looks like they're just trying to push up this mid lane for the moment, as Rift Herald will get started up. That teleport's available to User if he wants to go for that. Double Ocean Drake is also on the cards for Mnm, but the flank is coming down. A good ward has been placed by only Angel. They might just look to catch out Few. PFI does get caught. The axe not going to find its mark, and Mnm say, cheers for the leash, guys. We'll take this. As Chibs actually comes in, double distortion, misses out on the chains, and this will just be the Rift Herald picked up by Mnm unless PFI can get over the wall. Unable to do so, and Mnm in full vision of Diabolus take away the Rift Herald, and now they can transition towards bot lane.
A little bit slow off the mark to react for that, as Fury was stuck under the mid lane tower clearing out the waves, as was Dragdar in the top lane. So the 4-member strong composition of Mnm just strolls in. Usa's on the opposite side of the map, could have potentially teleported, but didn't actually need to in this instance. And since he's been down there pretty much by himself, just clearing out the minion waves, they're guaranteed priority for the second Ocean Drake for themselves, so stacking up a little bit more of that laning pressure for them.
Next is another Ocean Drake, which means for the Baron dance, actually, Mnm will have a lovely advantage to that mini Warmogs and just a lot of mana regen. Means they can keep the Baron aggroed and just get away.
You can just constantly be throwing out poke abilities with your Jace, Kai'Sa W's, Lux bindings. You can just keep throwing them out and just hope that something hits that you can turn into a full engage at that point, because it's like everyone has an Athene's on them. They're just constantly stacking the mana regen, the health regen on top of it as well. It's going to be difficult for Diabolus to deal with that if they're also going to be the ones who are aggressing onto the Baron and taking the Baron damage as well as all the poke.
Mnm, you can see we're a little hesitant to push up that top lane, sorry, because they didn't actually know if Dragdar and the Heathen had based or if they were waiting for a bush setup, so they slowly work the wave up, which means Dragdar and the Heathen actually will be able to pick up this wave as it crashes in. They have got themselves that CS advantage. The Essence Reaver finished up on Dragdar as well. So that's the quickness.
Engage.
Heathen comes forward, misses out on the knockup. A great flash out by Shogun means he will get out alive, and the Heathen also burning his. The disengage is now a little bit weaker for Diabolus.
Yeah, it's a trade of flashes for the supports, but again, you have the Rakan who has the capability of just making the same play just without the flash. Or if the Jarvan were to rotate up, drop the Cataclysm on Lux, she has no other way of getting out of that, unlike the Kai'Sa. So that is definitely a key target for a Cataclysm if Diabolus wants to make an aggressive play. But realistically, yes, they've lost neutral objectives. The Rift Herald has not been dropped. There hasn't been any tower plates gained from that. And they're still about 1,000 gold in the lead, so having this slower paced game certainly suits them, and they're not being forced to make any over-aggressive plays, but Chibs might be looking to make aggressive plays.
Comes in with the double distortion, the change, the sigil makes its mark, and Only Angel chasing up to secure the kill. First blood picked up for Only Angel. And Mnm might just try and transition this into another tower.
Yeah, Diabolus are looking to return the favor in the top lane with a potential tower dive onto Yusa and Shogun. Shogun will be the target, but Nolty's here too.
He's got that shield. Nolty now going in. The final spark collects onto no one, and PFI comes in with a two-man Cataclysm. That's going to be Nolty jumping in forward. Yusa with a killer instinct dives into the backline. Jure comes in, but Yusa able to pick up the kill. The knockup lands onto Nolty, and Dragdar finds himself a kill. Now Chips is here to try and bail out his AD carry. The Infernal Chains are flashed away, and Chips uses the distortion to get away from the wall. Mnm pick up 2 on the map and only lose 1, and they may just find first turret blood in that bot lane as well.
That's certainly done enough to close the gap in Mnm's favor, as the tower dive in the top lane wasn't executed quite as perfectly as Diabolus were looking for, as PFI went behind the tower when he engaged onto Shogun, and Heathen and Dragdar weren't able to walk past Yusa and the tower to fully commit to getting the kill on the flashless Lux. So instead they had to try and turn it around and split the damage sources, which left PFI in a bit of a 3v1 inside of his own Cataclysm, and the timing on the roams up were really well placed from Chibs as well, just to turn around an extra little bit of damage, so they do manage to pick themselves up the second kill of the game for Mnm, but it will be the tower.
Using the quickness, the turret's going to go down. That's the knockup. Yusa goes golden with the stopwatch, and now Dragdar double buffs to burning onto Yusa. The root's going to be there. The shield comes through in time, but Yusa is low. He is going to go down as Dragdar finds himself his second kill.
That's what they were looking for on the previous play, picking up the kill on the Kai'Sa with no defensive utility.
Binding's not going to be enough. PFI secures that kill, and in the mid lane, a fight is breaking out. That's going to be the end of Fury's. Only Angel gets it. Chips comes in onto Kakan, but Kakan running away, gets himself the slow with a mantra. He's got his own chains. It's double chain side. Chips is low, and Only Angel secures the kill. Chips now making a break for it as PFI kills out his clone. Only Angel sends him packing, and Nolty chasing in. The flash forward comes down, and Only Angel gets rooted up. Dragdar is on a killing spree with 3 kills picked up.
There we go. That's a turnaround for Diabolus as they pick themselves up the kills in the tower in the top lane and then rotate down to where the aggressive play onto Fury had just come through. Didn't have the ultimate available, so wasn't able to use that move speed boost. But they do manage to survive through the Rift Herald as well.
Gets caught. Final Spark does find its mark as well as they are chasing. That's going to be the Void Seeker, and Chips jumps in with the distortion to secure the kill.
That's not so great for Diabolus as PFI just gets a little bit too far forward, gets caught out by Nolty, looking to just get an extra little bit of vision down. And this is the play onto Fury in the mid lane. You can see that he wants to try and shut down this Rift Herald in a combination with Kakan, but Only Angel sat in the side on the bush. Just that extra burst of damage from the level 12 Jace is just so much and shreds straight through the health bar. Doesn't get a chance to respond whatsoever, and Kakan fares no better against it. PFI does I mean, he turns it around. They get the extra kill with the red buff on Dragdar. Xayah slowing down Only Angel on Jace just long enough that they're able to get that extra bit of CC under the tower and turn it around into at least an extra kill.
And now triple Ocean Drake and a Cloud Drake has been spawned up. A hypey game hasn't really had the hypey Drakes.
Yeah.
Although I like triple Ocean, I wouldn't be complaining, right?
Yeah, well, like you say, it's only going to make the Baron dances in the later stages that extra bit more exciting and a little bit more extended as well. As we said, we can just constantly be throwing out the skill shots, and if something does land, then you could see potentially Nolty running it down forwards to try and get the engage down onto the key target.
That's the quickness they're coming in, but actually the Heathen may be caught out. The binding by Shogun, it's huge! Final Spark comes down and Yusu's able to pick that kill up. Now the rest of Diabolus are collapsing in. Yusu jumps out with the killer instinct. Shogun gets a shield off, gets pulled back by the Infernal Chains as Fury finds himself the kill. Nolty is running amok through the middle of the team, but he goes golden. Shot Blast comes in and Chips is now chasing for the kill. He gets knocked up and pings back out of the fight. Looks like Diabolus have been able to turn the fight in their favor. Somehow don't go down, but Chibs throws out the chains. Not going to get himself a kill here.
Dragdar bought so much time there as Nolty was trying everything in his power to run him down and force him out of the fight, but just constantly wiggling back and forwards, the fancy feet dodging out on the axes, making sure that the Olaf cannot catch up enough to finish off the kill.
Ooh, Chibs comes in full combo onto Kakan, gets the shield off, doesn't actually break the sigil. Kakan's going to be able to walk away happy, but now PFI gets caught out by Only Angel. He just wants some honey fruit, man.
We've got a similar situation to Phelan in the last game, though, for both teams really here, where, yes, there's fights going down and there's picks going back and forth, but they're not being converted into actual objectives in terms of towers. Again, Drakes are very well stacked in the favor of Mnm with the 3 oceans, so if there is one of these little skirmishes that we see many of so far, particularly around the mid lane, then there's potential for re-engages as Chibs just steps back. He's full health, full mana again, and he can go in for a second attempt. And it didn't quite work out. It hasn't really been that successful, but they have been able to find a couple of extra picks, like a PFI getting a little bit caught out just around this red buff area after the extended fight has gone on. These 3 Ocean Drakes are really just enabling that re-aggression on the side of Mnm once the overall fight has come down. And that's really just shutting down both teams in terms of pushing down for tower damages. It's 20 minutes into the game and there's only 2 towers fallen.
Definitely a slower pace. Definitely a slower pace. Although the last few minutes have been pretty action-packed and I don't think that will be changing. Shogun found an incredible binding in that mid lane to dissuade the Heathen, catching 2 people. Final Spot comes down. This is the sad thing though. If that was a mid lane Lux, they'd be dead. they would like the Final Spot would absolutely smash them, but no.
Dragdar would have been okay because he did burn through the stopwatch to keep himself alive that extra bit of time, but the Heathen, he wouldn't have had no chance.
Well, AP Lux is so much more explosive.
Good word for it. Definitely makes people explode.
Would you explode? Or you just get kind of cooked alive?
Probably first.
I thought that was going to be the flag and drag engage there, as that is going to be the binding into the Final Spark. Full combo lands onto PFI. Nolty does have that Ragnarok, but he takes a lot of damage from Dragdar, and that might be enough to scare them off, but Chibs longs onto him. That's going to be the Featherstorm used already. Catching out to Chibs. Chibs is low. He's going to get knocked up, but he makes his way out alive. Mnm try to pull the trigger. They actually bite off a little bit more than they can chew.
But this is that situation I was just talking about. Look at how much health Chibs is regenning. He's got forced out of the fight. He just stands behind this wall for a few seconds, and now he has just about enough health to try and look for a potential second shot at blowing someone up out of the fight. Dragdar does not have that benefit. He has to go back to base, and that opens up the door now for Mnm to finally knock down that middle inhibitor? Alpha turret. About 3 minutes into the future.
3 minutes?
Quote me on that.
All right, so 25 minutes, roughly. We'll round up for you. We'll give you the 10 seconds.
Well, the Baron's up on the table, and we talked about their Baron dance.
We did. The dances are famously slow. And if PFI gets caught out, you might be in trouble. Here's LeBlanc. LeBlanc is super rough to catch.
Yeah, we talked about how difficult she is to gank. Catching her out in the river is no different. She does have so much mobility in a kit, particularly as the flash is still up and available. I didn't even have to use that to burst down Drag Dart at the start of that fight down to about 30% hit points, which meant that the Xayah was never in a position to output the damage, and that is where all the gold on the Diabolus lineup is. Just when we saw the gold values a minute ago, about 2,000 gold up over Yusa, 4-0 and 2. Take that out of the fight. Diabolus don't have that much left in terms of damage output.
You can see the pings are coming down by Only Angel. He wants to get his hands onto that Cloud Drake in the bot lane. Fury looking for something onto Nulti. It's very hard. He's got Ragnarok. Like, you're not going to kill an Olaf at this point. Got the Knight's Vow, got himself the Cinderhulk. He's starting to get a bit tankier. His Only Angel, he can tank out this Cloud Drake because mini Warmogs, man. Yep. And I believe, I need to double check, but I'm fairly certain your Ocean Drake actually still stays active during contests on Drakes and Baron. I know it definitely does in Baron, but it might be Drakes as well.
Shoot, so it's champion damage, isn't it?
Yes.
Maybe epic monsters as well, but if it still works on Baron, I would imagine it would definitely
yeah,
work
so
on
actually,
Drake, so.
it's really good for these Elder Drakes as well.
Yeah, because it's not only the Baron that can be danced around, but if this game is going to continue to be slow, it's only just over 10 more minutes until these Elder Drakes start appearing on the Rift, and Mnm are definitely going to be looking towards that as a potential win condition with the amount of Elemental Drakes they've stacked up already, and there will be even more by the time we reach that point.
The scary thing, though, for Mnm is the fact that anybody could get caught, anybody could die, and that'll turn the game back around for them, as they're not that far behind in gold currently. It's still heavily equal between both of these teams, and Only Angel playing the invade game versus Kakan does need to be a little careful, because Kakan, good AP, is going to be able to do a fair amount of damage. He's got a bit of armor to work with, and Shogun has to flash away from PFI. Big force there from Diabolus' jungler onto Mnm's support.
That's definitely, as we said in the earlier stages of the game, Cataclysm, key target, now up and available onto the support of Lux. And we were just talking about how dangerous it is for someone to be picked. Now it's just that extra little bit easier, and they have to play so much more passively and safe because of it. And that will even up the towers in the mid lane, but Nulti on the side might look for a potential engage, but besides better of it, doesn't want to run straight into 3 people. His team was a little bit too far behind for him to really commit.
It's very hard because Mnm don't really have a strict hard engage outside of a binding finding its mark. So they have to be careful because Diabolus can always turn back around on them with the engage from the Heathen, who's now got his flash back up from the likes of PFI, who can just jump in with a Cataclysm, and then there's so much follow-up damage to go along with that hard engage. Mnm are more about pulling you around the map, bursting individual people out, and then relying on Nulti just to kind of play nuisance in a fight, to split the fight up, you know. So if everybody's grouped up and there's an Olaf or Ragnarok on, your AD carry is going to get shredded through, so they have to kind of spread out and kind of fight in less than optimal situations. But the hard engage, the ability just to go for a full 5-on-5 brawl is there for Mnm. For Diabolus, that is actually going to be Shogun getting knocked up. The Infernal Chains fight as Mark and Fury picks himself up a kill. Not what Mnm needed, losing their support right now.
Yeah, that's the key target they were looking for without the flash, and does burn through the heal as well. Still gets taken down. And just as you're talking about pulling people across the map, it is in fact Only Angel who now gets dragged up towards the mid lane. He was having such a great time split pushing in the bottom lane against Kakan, who's kind of struggling to hold his own. Hasn't lost the towers necessarily, but is still 2 levels down. But it's going to be Only Angel who's forced towards this Baron pit earlier on. Kakan has teleport up and available.
Mnm know this is happening. They now have Shogun back alive. The teleport's coming in. Half health on Baron. Big shock blast connects though as Nulti might just look to go in. The Cataclysm connects and PFI. He is done so. Nulti flashes out. Everybody in Diabolus is in the pincer there. Shock blast lands onto 3. Yusa coming in with a flank. That Void Seeker can go forward if he wants to find himself an opening. And Chips jumping in. Shock blast this time doesn't find its mech, and the Infernal Chains are broken. Final spark dodged away by multiple members, and Chips jumps in with the Sigil just to poke out a little bit more. Diabolus now with low HP have to be careful because Mnm are onto Baron.
This is where they wish they were able to get their hands on at least one of those Ocean Drakes, because look at how much health has been lost on the side of Diabolus. It's not that much in the grand scheme of things, but they're still going to be forced back to base. They can't just run through the LeBlanc. I was a little bit late on my prediction.
I mean, they haven't even taken tier 2 in its 27 minutes.
Close enough.
Thank you very much. It's not even been touched. Oh no, maybe it's had a little bit. Yeah. No, not touched. Oh, here we go. There you go. It's finally taking some damage.
Knew it. Called it.
not sure about that, Chief. I'm fairly certain you called a very different thing.
It wasn't me, that was Stan. He was flaming me for the predictions yesterday, so I'm just going to say it was Stan that predicted that.
Was it you? I can't remember. I was in that conversation where you two were deciding between you who was going to win between Barrage and Phelan. What did you say?
I said...
I know he said the opposite to what you said on that match.
I didn't know. That's the thing. I said Barrage over Phelan, maybe, and he said, I'm not sure about Barrage versus Phelan, but we'll go with that. So,
all right. Well, actually, it looks like they're looking to catch Nulty. Ragnarok gets used, gets caught inside that Cataclysm. Yusa is there. Nulty goes down as Dragdar picks himself up his 5th kill on this Zaya. An Infernal Drake spawns up. That is the worst timing imaginable for Mnm. An Impactful Drake spawns up, and they're going to lose it. But the base is going to be sacrificed here by Diabolus as only Angel split pushing away. He doesn't even have teammates. He just pushes.
Just like I predicted 3 minutes ago, only Angel takes the top inhibitor turret by himself, and now the middle inner turret as well will be taken of Diabolus. They traded 2 turrets out and an opening into their base for an Infernal Drake. It's that extra little bit of power onto Dragdar, and that is really all eggs in the Dragdar basket right now for them. They need him to be as powerful as he possibly can be to hard carry these team fights. That extra little burst of damage from the Infernal could definitely be enough to do so, but if they start the team fight by getting AoE bursted down by shock blasts and distortions, that's not necessarily gonna come into play that much.
Yeah, and if Dragdar can't kill someone, the Ocean Drake then comes into action. They step back, they heal up off it, and then they just come back onto the map. As you see, everybody on Mnm just getting their base off, getting their shots off, and now they're gonna look to use this Baron, utilize it across the map. As we start to take stock of items, the Nash's Tooth, the Mnm and the Rage Blade has been finished up for Yusa, so he's going to be doing a fair amount of damage at this point. All lethality with a cleaver onto only Angel. Spear fight, maybe setting up for some kind of an engage here. Flanks so far have been pretty good by Diabolus, and Nulty just coming back from being caught out. Doesn't want to get caught out again as the flag and drag is there. The Scryer will block him out and spot him out.
It's the first time that we've really seen Kakan make the proactive play to group up with the team, and nothing comes from it. So it's just going to be a stroll back to the bottom lane to try and stop the split push onto the bottom lane inner turret from Chibs. It's been only Angel that has been up against the whole time, but he really hasn't gone for that much of a 1v1 focused build, going with the Athene's Unholy Grail as the second item. You really need that Karma to be close to the Zaya to be able to make as much use as you possibly can from the...
Oh, Yusa just jumps in. The Featherstorm's there. Not going to get caught out, but that's the Heathen jumping onto him. Yusa, just so greedy, is going to get caught out, and he's also going to have Nulty killed for it as well. The final spark comes down as Fury picks up a double kill. Yusa, what was that?
That's not the play he was looking for, I don't think. He was looking to pop Dragdar down, but it's difficult to do against Zaya. She just drops the Featherstorm, can't take the damage, and it's an immediate turnaround from the Heathen. Notices that the opportunity, flashes forward with the quickness. The Grand Entrance unlocks Yusa down, and he even drags Nulty down with him as well off the back of that incredibly over-aggressive play.
Look at the pings. Mnm on that flank. The teleports are getting used down. Diabolus are committing for this. 4v3 are going to try and make the play. Only Angel has to find himself the poke. The mid lane inhibitor has been left open. Chibs jumps onto Dragdar. The Ignite gets thrown down. Chibs pings back out as they get themselves a route off. The inhib will fall. Yusa is now alive. Redemption to heal Chibs back up. That Ocean Drake is ticking. The Void Seeker finds its mark. The final spark connects onto 2. Yusa supercharges forward as PFI tries to get the assassination off. Shogun is low HP, but not low enough. He even gets a knock up. It's a 1-for-1 fight so far, and Chibs onto PFI. The shock blast connects. In comes the supercharge once again. Yusa flashes forward. That's going to be the ulti available to him. Will he pull that trigger? Yes, he will. Diving onto the backline. Yusa gets a shutdown. Fury turns him back around, but he is 1v3 versus all of Mnm's strongest members as he will fall. The Resurrect will get forced out here by from Mnm onto Fury. He jumps back out the chains. Will not save his life today as Chibs finds the shutdown, and Mnm finds the full ace.
Oh my goodness, is that going to be the way this game ends? It's been so back and forth, but that aggressive play from Diabolus capitalizing on the aggressive play from Mnm, taking the mid inhibitor. But then they get capitalized on again as the collapse from all angles comes.
Heathen's trying to kill only Angel. He goes golden. They're trying to not end the game quite here. The Nexus falls. Only Angel lives, and Mnm in 32 minutes 12-12 on the score. Get the win.
The respawn timers for Mnm on Nulti and Yusa just came up at the perfect moment. As that inhibitor fell, they were being poked down by the Jace on the back. They had to run through at least 2 members of the team, no matter which direction they chose. And it looked as though they were going to be able to get out, but the Kaiser ultimate coming back up, that killer instinct, just allowing her to dash forward, finish off Dragdar for 1,000 gold shutdown, which didn't get to be
really
spent
matter
because that was
died.
just the final push, just as I predicted 3 minutes ago. And yeah, Fury with the double revives, the stopwatch, everything wasn't enough to buy enough time for all of the Diabolus roster to respawn. A couple of them did get back up, but they didn't have that Mnm staggering on their death timers. They were just a little bit too long, a little bit too late in the game for those to come up. And fortunately, it's not a great way to finish off what looked like a potential comeback for Diabolus, just being pincered from all sides. But it was well played from Mnm.
Mnm spotted their opportunity, they took it, and they were able to get themselves that win. Now, this sets up for a very exciting finals. We're beyond semi-finals. We're done with them now. As we go back to week 2, again, Mnm versus XL. And both of these teams have looked weaker this week than they have in previous weeks. We still haven't seen Fnatic Rising yet as well, who are currently sitting at the top waiting for one of these teams to climb to the top.
But also potentially weaker than previous weeks as well, with MagiFelix being in the LEC roster. So it's really up in the air this week. It could be anyone.
It really is anybody's game to take, anybody's tower to take. And I am so excited to get into this Mnm versus XL game because Mnm, they were pushed versus Diabolus, but Diabolus have been looking good for the last few weeks. XL were pushed by Phelan, who have not been looking good for the last few weeks. Instead, they've actually had a relatively rough last few days, last 2 weeks here on the UK scene. Finally getting themselves some points and then going really hard, challenging XL at every turn, at every point, every corner. And, you know, XL, they were able to fight back. Their tower control was good. But that was exactly how Mnm just beat out Diabolus. While Diabolus were doing a good job of neutralizing them, Mnm were playing for neutral objectives and they were getting the gold through there. Their bot lane wasn't going quite as well as expected for them. And Diabolus were picking up those kills onto their bot lane, onto Dragdar. But it wasn't enough to translate. Kills don't mean wins. Yeah, objectives do.
The Drakes played such an important role as well because every time there was a scrappy, skirmishy team fight, Mnm just came back full health. Diabolus were forced back to their base. Couldn't contest anything else.
Well, that will be the end of Diabolus for this week, but we still have XL, we still have Mnm, and we still have Fnatic Rising. So after the break, we'll have our grand finals for week 3 to be finding out who takes on Fnatic Rising. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a second.